Well, I got a new oil pressure gauge for the 89 Sportster. The gauge that's in there still works, but the face on it is cracked. It's been in there for, I don't know, 25 years or something like that, more than that. It still works, though. It's a little hard to read because the face of it's yellow and from the lens getting all aged. But you definitely want to get a liquid-filled gauge. This is from Odometer. I trust Odometer. Got it from JP Cycles. You want a liquid-filled gauge, and I'll show you basically how I have mine set up in brief. It's on a Sportster. You're saying, well, where do you put it? I know, like, there's a standard place to put them, and then there's another place I put mine. But it's been on there for freaking more than 25 years. It's been on there since like 1992. So that's 26 years, okay? So anyway, I was going to get the one that goes from 0 to 30 because you really don't need 0 to 60 with the Harley. It only runs like, I don't know, 10, 20 pounds of pressure or something. It's pretty damn low. But you really want one of these gauges, especially on a Sportster. Something I wasn't even aware of, the bushing that runs that comes off I guess with the pinion shaft or whatever the hell it is, that runs the gear on the oil pump. That they got like a steel on steel bushings, right? The worm gear that drives the gear on the oil pump, steel on steel, and actually the bushing gets chewed up, or the worm gear, I guess that's what you call it. I know Hammer Performance makes a bronze one, which will fit on the 89 also. But you got to use that tool. There's a tool you got to use to get it in there so you don't screw nothing up. I'm not going to put that in there right away, but the fact that I have this gauge versus just having an idiot light, big difference. And actually my idiot light wasn't working because the wire was broken where the I don't know, it goes into the what do you call it, the oil pressure sensor. And I was riding down the road, I started seeing a light flicker, and I said, wait a minute, I know this thing isn't oil up, it doesn't have low oil pressure. The wire was actually grounding against the frame once in a while, so I fixed that. I don't know when the hell I broke that wire, but it's not because it's something I installed. It just probably smacked something or whatever. But I fixed the oil pressure idiot light. But the idiot light, you want this gauge, man. The idiot light works. You'll be surprised. I mean, you could be running 5 pounds, and when you're idling, and after the engine's really warmed up and your oil's like good 200 degrees, and you're running just not much off zero, man. I don't know what it is. The thing will never like put over 30, never. And actually, the oil lines I have in the bike are tractor hydraulic lines. They put them on there a long time ago, like super high pressure. Like the freaking damn things are never gonna break. So let me show you what's on the bike. Well, you can see that's where I got the gauge installed. It's really it's just a T-fitting right back in there. Instead of like, the oil pressure sending unit just being screwed into the oil pressure, the housing or whatever it is where the oil pump is, I actually have like a pipe going in there with a fitting that goes one to the oil pressure center unit for the idiot light on the top, and one goes to this, which is just a mechanical gauge. So now, if you're looking at this gauge, it's going to be a lot more noticeable because it's a white face. And what this screws into is probably some oil is going to come out of this thing when I unscrew it. You just see right there. See that? It's just a pipe, goes way into there. I got it like some heater hose I cut that's rubber mounted to this, the highway peg, with just a radiator clamp. You see, this comes out. Boy, some oil's going to come out of here now. Maybe not. I'm going to put a little Loctite blue on there. It looks like I never even put any Loctite blue on there. I just screwed it on there real tight. It's been there for freaking 20-something years. It never came out, So I'll probably put a little Loctite blue on there. So we screw this damn thing on there, and obviously that's going to be a hell of a lot more legible than that one. This one wasn't that bad when I first put it on. You can hardly see, it was on there pretty tight. I had to like, I don't know, I think I torqued it on there with a wrench or something too. But you can, it wasn't that yellow like this. The Glens wasn't that yellow. Like I said, I was thinking about getting one that was 0 to 30, because you really don't need you don't need 60. This thing barely, if it's ice cold, it might hit 30 or something, max or something maybe. But this is a lot more legible. And where you're supposed to really run them from, so you wouldn't want this crossover pipe here. You're supposed to run them from right there. See if I can get that on there. See? That's where the oil pressure reading is supposed to be taken from. But I took it right from where the oil pressure sending unit is, which is fine. So if you didn't have this pipe, in a way, which, I left it stock like that. I think the crossover pipe does, I don't know, it's a little more, it does a little bit on the bottom end, really. At least that's what they do with cars, anyway. But you'd want to run something from, you'd run the hose, like a braided steel hose from here, and you might have it come up through here, maybe mount it up here somehow. I don't know how you would do it. Maybe mount it to this and have it pointed up this way so you can look down and see it. That's really that would probably be the other way of doing it. But since, I could still get it in there. I could still get it in there if I wanted to. I could actually have this sitting up here on a bracket like this. That might be better. But that's how I did it a while ago. And I also have it in conjunction with a little oil cooler, because I was actually running this bike in the hot desert a lot. You probably don't really need the oil cooler around here. Maybe even in Florida, it might be okay in Florida. Most places you wouldn't need that oil cooler. But you could actually mount it up here. This bracket right here, make a bracket. And of course you would have, that angle fitting, whatever the hell it is, with the braided steel hose that would go down right into here. But, I put mine down, and it's been there forever, so, I don't think there's a problem with it, somebody says that that's a stupid place to put it, it'll do this, it'll do that. Well, it's been there for freaking 26 years, so it's been working fine for me. And normally, I could still, I guess if you're looking, the thing is, I think if you have it up here, it's like you'd have to have it sticking out like this somehow, so you could see it. You can't have it tucked up like that. You have to have it sticking. I don't know if that looks that good, I don't know. Who the hell knows? I got mine down there. I'm the only bike I'm the only one I ever saw with a bike that has it down there. That's where I put mine. It's just, like I said, I did this a million years ago. It's just, the what do you call it? The sending unit is just, there's like a pipe coming out where I screwed in, threaded into where the sending unit is, right up here. And then I use a rubber hose, oil hose. Then I put the sending unit there with like a T fitting on it, right? So the rubber hose goes into one side of the T fitting, and the other side pumps out to here, and the other side is the sending unit. So if I turn on the bike, there's my oil pressure light, and you can see I also got a volt gauge there too. Cute, right? So the sending unit works. I think I broke the wire off at one time. I don't know what the hell happened there, but I fixed that. So that's just, I'm gonna put this in there right now. I'm gonna put a little Loctite blue on it, clean some of that oil out of there before I tighten the shit out of it. Yeah, and you can tighten it with this. See, get a wrench. I think that's what I did. So it doesn't vibrate loose, man, but it's gonna be a little Loctite blue on there anyway. Okay, here's the old ones out, and I'm going to save this gauge anyway, because This is a good little gauge to test stuff with, and what the hell brand this is. This is a good gauge though. Actually, it's all cracked and stuff. It's because it's so damn old, but never had a problem with it. You can see it has the thing on the back here where you can turn it, you can tighten it up. 17 millimeter. So the new gauge is on there. So let's start it up and see, what kind of pressure we got. All right, cold. We got about 20-something pounds. But that'll drop. Yeah, the way this gauge works is that the oil pressure works is that it's never going to go over a certain amount. It's not going to go over 30. It's like it's just going to put out more volume. But you want this gauge because I'm going to shut this off. You just noticed the idiot light went off, so which idiot light works. Do you want this gauge because on the Sportsters, and I say one of the problems is I don't know if this one's going to have a problem with it because probably the type of oil I'm using not going to have too much of a problem with the iron or steel bushing on worm gear. I guess that's what you call it. I don't know if that's a bushing. It looks like a worm gear to me. But I do know that when you use dissimilar metals, a lot of times they last a lot longer. Like, for instance, I got the Baisley valves in there, which are titanium nitrated hard stainless steel. And I couldn't use the stock cast iron valve guides because they were both really hard metals and it'll go. So I got bronze valve guides in there. And, dissimilar metals work better together. That's why you would want to put the bronze bushing in with the steel gear off the oil pump to run the oil pump steel gear, bronze bushing, right? But one thing you want to keep an eye on is not that idiot light. I mean, the idiot light's going to tell you after you go to zero. That idiot light, I think it goes off like at 1 or 2 pounds or something. It's ridiculously low. So, I mean, you can be riding down the highway with 3 pounds of pressure. Maybe that's not enough, And, maybe that's because your bronze bushing is getting all chewed up and the oil pump's not spinning that well. But you can verify everything's working fine with this gauge. That's why I think it's very important to have a gauge. These damn gauges should be on all these bikes standard. And as a matter of fact, they should be on the big twins, or the twin cams and all that type of stuff. They had some oil pressure problems with them. I mean, it's not a Sportster, but every bike should have an oil pressure gauge, a mechanical oil pressure gauge. And again, where you really would install this is normally right off of that thing right there. There's a little Allen screw right there. And you would come up with some braided hose, probably make a bracket, and you'd have to make it stick out a little bit. I mean, that'd be fine too. Some people put them way down. Like if you have a different air cleaner, like if you had like an S&S teardrop air cleaner or smaller, a Mikuni air cleaner, it wouldn't be like the big ham can. This is like at the Performance K&N way back when in 89 or 90. I guess one of the first things I got. And you didn't have that crossover. You can have it mounted low. You'd be able to see it because the air cleaner wouldn't be in the way. But I like the ham can too. I don't give a crap. I just want the thing to work good, So that's a wrap. And yeah, this is the type of coil I got on here is in a cell, which works with both the electronic and the points. And I actually have it set up where I got a wire down there that's just hanging. I can put it on here with a speed knot. Throw my point set up in there, which I have in a cap in saddlebag in case the electronic goes out, because it'll run with this coil. Most coils are strictly electronic. That might be why my tack is bouncing around. This is an aftermarket tack. The original Harley tack didn't bounce around with that coil, but it might be because of that coil. And again, powered by Moonshine, high octane redneck fuel. So I just figured I'd point this out because every single bike should have a damn. All the Harley, everyone. I mean, oil pressure gauge is important. Idiot lights are bullshit. If you got a problem where you're running low oil pressure, there's been numerous cases where, Sportster has the problem with that bushing, or worm gear, whatever the hell you call that thing. That's off the, next to the pinion gear that drives the oil pump. You run the bronze one from Hammer Performance, you shouldn't have any problem with it. And normally you may not have a problem because I found out what I do is I use a little bit of Slick 50 or what's that other door lube in this thing. I found out when I used I know I'm talking a little more, but I found out some stuff that these people they don't tell you about. One of the things I used to hear, like, sportsers are pretty tough to get into neutral sometimes or whatever. And I think mine was like that. You know, what I used to do was, I still do, I put some door lube or Slick 50, not all pure, but maybe an ounce or two within the Sport Trans lube, within that stuff. And the thing shifts like butter. I can get neutral real easy. It goes into first real easy. I mean, and I'm assuming that since I'm also using the engine type of door lube or Slick 50 in the engine, it might be saving that gear, that bushing or gear or worm gear or whatever the hell you call it, that Hammer Performance sells for the bronze one that will like take a lot more wear than the because it's bronze on steel versus going steel on steel. Just like I talked about with the valves, like I had when I went to extra hard valve stems with the performance oversized valves, I had to change to softer bush valve guides. You have a hard metal on a hard metal, they gall each other. If you have hard on a soft metal, they just kind of wear themselves in and mate well. But I'm thinking with the 50 weight oil I run in here versus 2050, gets a little more protection with the door lube and stuff. But the other thing is, I can keep an eye on it with that gauge. And now, this damn thing is a white face gauge with a red needle. I can see that sucker. I can see that sucker. No problem, man. No problem. So, anyway, that's a wrap. And that's on there tight because I had to use a wrench to really crank it down. I mean, it's not going nowhere, man. The only thing that could possibly happen with this thing is possibly a hose could break eventually or something. But I don't know. Those are old hoses, but they're tractor hydraulic hoses. They're made for, like, I don't know. I don't know what the hell they're rated for. I think they're rated for, like, I don't know, at least hundreds and hundreds of PSI. And, you're running like 20. So the tractor hydraulic hoses were overkill. That's what I installed in here for my oil lines way back when this engine was put in here. So we put the engine in. So anyway, over and out. And by the way, this twin power 100, what is it? 400 and yeah. Wait a minute, 320 cold cranking amps battery you put in here starts to bike up like lightning, man. I was like, holy shit. Man, I needed that battery because this engine is not really stock, man. It's like, you use a stock battery, it goes, woo, 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 woo. This one, it just burns. It's got a lot more juice going through the ignition. It starts way faster. I'm like, God. Boy, I'm so glad I did that, too. I'm glad I did this. It only took me a little while to do it. But, like, I look on the internet, I don't see anybody doing this, not on Sportsters. I'm saying, that's not really the right place to put it, but, I could see it real easy from up here. I could look down here, and I look down here at a glance, and I can see what's going on, except at night. It's actually easier seeing the gauge there than it is up here. You'd have to look straight down. Here, you're kind of looking. You're looking at the road, and you just look down here from your mirror to here, and you can see it, no problem. To me, it's actually easier to see down there. But, if you look on YouTube, you don't really see people doing this. And it's been there for 26 years. So tell me it's wrong. It's been working for 26 years. It can't be that wrong.